Hi, everyone. Today is Saturday, February 28th, 2026. Welcome. I'm Jeffrey Morgan, and this is a talk I host twice a week to discuss my experiences on the path of soul transcendence. This offering is brought to you by the movement of spiritual inner awareness with the encouragement and support of my friend John Morton, who holds the mystical traveler consciousness, which is the spiritual consciousness that does the work that we're doing here today. If you're new to the call, the format is simple. We're going to start by calling ourselves forward into the light, which is calling our awareness forward into the light of God that's already present. And then we're going to chant three Anai hues. Hue is an ancient name for God, and Anai invokes a quality of empathy and compassion. Then I'm going to play a video clip from my teacher, John Roger, and then I'm going to do a reading from the Bhagavad Gita, and then we can talk about whatever you would like. So with that, I'll ask Ron Holneck to call us forward into the light, if he's willing.
Well, good morning, Jeffrey. Good morning, everyone. Lord God of all creation, we come forward in light. We come forward in love. We come forward in the awareness that all that is happening is for the highest good of all concerned, and that not one soul will be lost. And for our time together, Lord, we give gratitude. And we say, Lord, thy will be done. So be it.
If it's not chanted the tones of God correctly, does that affect my going up?
No,
toward
because
God?
you have a traveler consciousness on the other side that takes you up. And without that, you'd better get the tones perfectly all the time. But the traveler consciousness residing on all these levels of consciousness is the one who is pulling you up and understands that we're not going to get them, right spot on all the time. And it also, you have to remember that it is in the intent of the heart that is really what keeps charging and recharging the energy fields to go up higher and higher. And it is the intent of chanting to bring you wisdom into the karmic field of this lifetime, to make amends where necessary, to hold those who need holding, to talk to those who need talking to apologize when you have to apologize. It gives the wisdom to go do that. And so our karma isn't really going to be more than a few days old. Then you can say, my apology was not to irritate you or upset you. It was to make amends and make right what could be made right. And if nothing can be made right with you, then I would just like to say my goodbyes and I'll go now. And you can walk away just really clean with that. The other person is also learning how to handle karma by how you handle yours. And so we actually become role models, if you will, for all sorts of other people by how we handle our flow of karma as we walk through it each day. And chanting the tone while we're doing that, though it is not designed for this level, the intention of the Spirit and Godness in all that does come into this level and help it. And it helps to clean it, and we feel clear. It's not that we feel good. It's not that we say, I feel clear. It's that we do feel clear. And if we look in there, it's clear. There's nothing there. And if you can sit back in your mind and go, yeah, well, there was this one thing, then when you said you felt clear, it was a lie. And usually we don't even say, I feel clear, because if it's clear, there's no reference points to say anything. I saw a lady when I was driving down the street, about 2 weeks ago, and she caused a car wreck behind her. I was behind them, and I watched her actions. She set it in motion and drove down the street oblivious that it was even happening. She was clear. Though she did set it up for the other people who had the karma. I didn't. I slowed down and just came around the side real slow. And when I sped up, I found out where she was, and I gave her all the rest of the freeway. And when I got my chance, I took off and got away from her and let her deal with the rest of the people. And so it's a matter of consciously watching, and there was humor in all this also. God, look at that lady. She's Madam Destruction on the highway today. And I'm not being negative with it as much as I'm just joking about what this is, because these cars went kaboom, bam, 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 bam. And I was going, wow, this is some movie. I never said much to anybody about it because, I don't know, I guess it's just something that's when it's clear, you forget it, you go on. Maybe a week later you say, a week ago I saw this strange car wreck. And people say, well, why didn't you tell me a week ago? It was so clear, nothing happened till just now this thing happened, and I reflected on it. And then you're not even sure that you're telling them accurately what it was because it was so clear. It's the vague memory plus the drama of telling them something. We add a little bit of something on top of it so they get the idea of what happened or that something happened. And as soon as they get the idea, we drop it. And we're off to, and later on they'll say, tell me about that wreck again. You go, what wreck? The one you told me about yesterday. What about it? It happened 2 weeks ago. Okay. I say, don't you remember? No. Why not? I don't know. It's just not there anymore. It's cleared.
All right. This is a reading from a portion of the Bhagavad Gita that talks about what is real. What is real never ceases. The self dwells in the house of the body, which passes through childhood, youth, and old age. So passes the self at the time of death into another body. The wise know this truth and are not deceived by it. When the senses come in contact with sense objects, they give rise to feelings of heat and cold, pleasure and pain, which come and go. Accept them calmly, as do the wise. The wise who live free from pleasure and pain are worthy of immortality. What is real never ceases to be, The unreal never is. The sages who realize the self know the secret of what is and what is not. Know that the self, the ground of existence, can never be destroyed or diminished, for the changeless cannot be changed. Bodies die, not the self that dwells therein. Know the self to be beyond change and death. Therefore strive to realize this self. Those who look upon the self as slayer or as slain have not realized the self. How can the self be killed or kill when there is only one? Never was the self born, never shall it cease to be, without beginning or end, free from birth, free from death, free from time. How can the self die when the body dies? Who knows the self to be birthless, deathless, not subject to the tyranny of time? How can the self slay or cause to be slain? Even as we cast off worn off garments and put on new ones, so casts off the self a worn out body and enters into another that is new, not pierced by arrows, not burned by fire, affected by neither water nor wind. The self is not a physical creature, not wounded, not burnt, not wetted, not dried. The self is never and is ever and everywhere, immovable and everlasting. The self cannot be known by the senses, nor thought by the mind, nor caught by time. If you know this, you will not grieve. Even if you mistake the self to be subject to birth and death, you must not grieve. For death is certain for those who are born, as rebirth is certain for those who die. Why grieve over what cannot be avoided? We perceive creatures only after birth, and after they die, we perceive them not. They are manifest only between birth and death. In this, there is no cause for grief. Some there are who have realized the self in all its wonder. Others can speak of it as wonderful, but there are many who don't understand even when they hear. Deathless is the self in every creature. Know this truth and leave all sorrow behind. Now, of course, we we teach an approach to exit the cycle of death and rebirth, but the truth remains the same. And I substitute the word soul for the word self, and the Lord of the soul realm is that ultimate soul. So all this to say, I love that. I love that passage even as I read the news this morning. I think it's important. All right, Barbara.
Oops. Uh, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Barbara. How are
Okay.
you?
Okay, good morning. Thank you. Jeffrey, I'm really sorry. I don't know how to get my picture off. Are you okay talking to a picture?
Yeah, no, it's a nice picture. You're smiling and
Okay.
everything.
It's very old, very young. Yes, thank you. I have two questions. The last time we spoke about emotional blocks potentially in my legs because I do have peripheral, whatever it is. There's no blood flow going down to the toes. And so that's still there. There's confusion whether it's coming from neuropathy, from being diabetic, or the back, which I haven't had surgery yet. So what I really want to ask you, what's more important right now, is they're looking at my neck, possibly with bone marrow cancer, and the tests aren't done yet. So my neck is really out. I had no idea. I've slept in many different positions. So I have that question, then I have a spiritual question. So I always feel guilty that I'm asking you to do the work by asking you if you see what's going on. Can I ask you if you have any sense of my whole body is kind of worn out from all the not having a home base. And I work very hard not to fall. That's my main objective every day, is not to fall. And my walker did go into a pothole last Thursday. I did go flying, and I hurt my whole left side, my right ankle and the hips.
Mm.
So we're waiting for all the stuff to come back, and I have no balance. So I'm trying desperately not to go into a wheelchair, to keep on moving.
Mhm.
So the neck, whatever's in the back, and then I have a spiritual question.
Well, yeah, I'm not a physician, so
Of
I don't know
course,
that
yeah,
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 in terms of the structural aspects of it and the physical aspects of it, but I can look at, let me see if there's anything going energetically. So it's something going energetically that might impede your ability to
yeah,
maintain mobility.
yes, and the
Got it.
neck, and the neck, cancer potential
The cancer potentially.
in the bone marrow, in the neck.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, Barbara, you're walking through very challenging karma for anyone. Like,
Yeah,
so, and my hat's off to you walking through that. There's one thing that can start to accumulate in the process of walking through very, very difficult karma is a kind of an argument with God, or kind of an upset at the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, which anybody would feel that way. So this is not me judging you. This is me saying I totally get it.
yeah,
But I see an accumulation of resentment and upset about your plight, and whether it's unfair or fair. Do you kind of get what I'm talking about?
100%.
So what happens is our outrage and upset and anger and argument start to accumulate at a cellular level. And that can start to cause mutations of the cell, because DNA at its root is an expression of intention. And therefore, from an epigenetic perspective, Jesus, what am I talking about? From an epigenetic perspective, I don't even know. Anyway, I'm going to read about this after I'm going to watch the recording. But if you express a continuous contradictory intention and upset and argument with reality, that argument will give that conflicting direction to the cell itself, and then it will start to mutate, and it will the conflicting intentions will cause confusion around the cellular death process.
Yes.
So in a sense, your own defiance of your fate, or your own disagreement with the progression of things, um, is translating into a cell's unwillingness to transition, unwillingness to transition with the progression of the cell.
Right.
Oh my God. I hope there's a cancer researcher on here who can save us. Because in any case, um, as I said, I'm not a physician, but I think it would be very powerful for you, Barbara, to just really take in, even on a cellular level, this life is God's gift to me.
Yes.
And that you start to really understand that even the parts that seem outrageous, because you have some outrageousness in your karma, which, inside of me makes you very adorable. Because sometimes the stories that you tell, I'm just like, you couldn't write something better, like we could make a TV show out of your life, you know. So there's some part of me that goes, oh my God, look at this karma, you know, and we can both sit there laughing about it. That's actually a freedom, even on
Yeah.
a cellular level, is
Okay.
just to go, wow, what string of lifetimes led to this? I mean, my goodness,
Yeah.
who could have written such a play? And you get and you get real loving with it, and you get real loving with yourself, and that's why I said, like, I just want you to know you're doing a great job, in the sense that, like, and I say this to everybody, like, in case you were wondering if you're doing a great job. It is not easy to be human, and everybody's karma carries with it things that are not easy in the humanness of it. And everybody also carries in their karma doorways to liberation and passageways that allow us to gain that perspective of a loving God consciousness that sees only a beautiful expression of God loving itself in the slings and arrows of our outrageous fortune. So I think I think it would be powerful for you, Barbara, just to, it's almost like a repatterning. So if you
Okay.
just pattern in, I choose my life, I love this life, God's loving me through this life. It's like, start to get those affirmations and it starts to sink in,
Okay.
because what I perceive is, on a cellular level, your disagreement with reality is being manifest physically.
Okay.
And and I think it's that consciousness of telling the cell it's okay, you can let go now. Because
Wow.
in a sense, it's really, I know that seems very strange. And again, I know nothing about the whole cancer thing, but let's just say that the cell is responding to your argument and saying, I won't let go. Oh, okay, I won't let go. And there's a way in which, on a daily basis, when cells die and are reborn, there's a living and a dying and a resurrection every day of our life. And in many ways, the living and dying and resurrection is the nature of health. So our very health is an expression of the Christ pattern, or the pattern that Jesus demonstrated. So there's this way that we renew ourselves through living, dying, and resurrecting on a daily basis. And disease becomes an impediment to the process that the body knows how to do in that.
Right.
So that's
No.
that's my that's my that's my man, I gotta watch that and research what I just said, because that was really interesting. Anyway, uh,
I, it's so, I have to say, I'm laughing because it is so validating to hear someone say, yes, you do have outrageous karma, because I judge it. Like, am I losing my mind, or is it as bad as I think? Because I experience it as, this is outrageous. So when you said that, it
but
just
laugh about
validated.
it.
It
It's,
validated. It's like, oh, okay, so I'm on track. I'm on track. So
I mean, look, you and I have had conversations about your journey, and living situation stuff, and like,
crazy,
and
yeah.
there's some themes that continue. So it's almost like, you know, if the theme keeps coming back, you might as well greet it as an old friend, because you've
Okay.
been through so much together.
Yes. Thank you for making me laugh about it. Thank you so much.
I mean, that's my, I mean, the silliness of my own life, the silliness of all of our lives, and just the sweetness that comes when we just laugh about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. I welcome that, and I can see my cells laughing right now too. So thank you.
Yes, cellular laughter is a good thing.
Okay.
Um,
And
what's did you said you
this
had another question?
yeah, the other question is, do we well, okay, I'm an initiate, I'm a minister. So do we really need, I've had this question for a long time. Do we really need a middleman? As I've gone through this last 15 years, not having places to live and stuff, I found myself going straight to God. And
Sorry, what do you mean by middleman?
Matt, like, do we need Jesus? Do we need JR? Do we need Mother Mary? Any emissary that we would look to? Can we go straight to God and know that our initiations and soul transcendence can still potentially take place?
I think the key is, it's about what works. Do you understand? Like it's the goal of this whole process is to anchor you above and beyond the soul realm,
Right.
and for you to be able to access that and work that yourself. The goal is for you to realize that there never was a middleman in the first place, that you were the middleman,
Okay.
and and that the only barriers that existed were barriers you created in your memory of that,
Hmm.
in your remembrance of that. So I would say in the cosmic, in the greater cosmic play of this whole experiment, not one soul will be lost, so you don't have to worry about that.
Right.
But the do I need a middleman question, it's not do I need, it's thank God for every step on my journey to realizing that the journey is over before it even began, and that I am already all that I seek.
And again, the journey already began before. Do you remember what you said?
That the journey is already over before it even began.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Time, time is exists so that we can have experience. Like we are gaining an individuated experience through a simulated reality. So we, as extrusions of an ultimate beingness, can have an individuated subjective experience.
Okay.
That's the whole point. So
Right.
we're gaining that experience and we're expressing that creation pattern and the different plans that were put in place and the plan to reverse the original plan and all the things that we're doing. It's like it's all about what level you're perceiving from, because if I perceive from the Lord of the soul realm or beyond that, if I perceive from pure spirit, all I'm seeing is little bubbles in an ocean of ultimate loving.
Right.
Now, if I perceive from your perception, I perceive housing challenges, doing my SEs, and it's like it's very concrete, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Do we need a middleman? Well, it depends when you're, I mean, it's like if the whole goal is for you to anchor at a level where you are that, then the answer becomes no, where you're coming from. If you're anchoring in that level, if you're there. But my experience is there seems to always be a place beyond where I am or where I perceive.
Right.
And there's always, in that sense, a consciousness needed to bridge down the next step so that I can relate to it and anchor to it.
Okay.
So, in that sense, it's interesting. When I was doing jujitsu, we were very, I mean, it was a very kind of traditional, like kind of traditional, but modern, old worldy Hawaiian culture was very prominent in it, but very Japanese. And I had always been raised like in, like taking karate and things like that, that sensei meant like teacher or boss. But actually, sensei at its root just means one who came before. So there's
Okay.
this idea that we have the privilege of living masters, Mahatmas, mystical travelers that are physically embodied. And the privilege, I say, because they've already done it. And not only can they demonstrate and do it, they can make it available to me.
Right.
And that gift of ex being able to experience something beyond the level at which I anchor, because many people, when they're first in contact with the mystical traveler, they don't have to wait to be initiated to have spiritual experiences right away. I mean, they'll have their initial initiation with the content, but they won't have to have like official initiations to be taken up into spirit with the traveler. But at that point, you're not initiated because you can't hold and anchor and accept and fully reference from that level of the sound current of God, but you can't
Right.
experience it by the grace of the mystical traveler.
Right.
And so to me, it's not really about having a middleman. It's about having someone that is it's a consciousness that is like the combination of a guide, a catalyst, a bridge, and a telephone between realms.
Wow.
So that I'm able to connect into levels that I don't know how to navigate to right now. So I actually can at least point myself in the right direction. If you think about it, it's kind of like having a compass. If we didn't have a magnet, like if we don't have a reference point, our reality becomes subjective and very confusing.
Hmm.
Our ancestors used the stars. Why? Because there was a consistency. And with that consistency, we could build reference points that would allow us to navigate. But then we found a magnet and found that the magnet, when not encumbered, would tend to find true north unless we were standing on the Bermuda Triangle or something like that. It would tend to find true north. If anything, it gets more and more confusing the more and more subtle the spiritual level
Yeah.
that you're on, from my experience. And it becomes harder and harder to find true north on my own. So having a reference point that not, it's like when I talk about guide, catalyst, it's also a reference point of when somebody is anchoring the mystical traveler consciousness on a level for you and holding for that for your process of initiation. It's also like holding a magnet of true north and amplifying true north into that level so that your compass can find its axis and it can actually move you through your intention out of that cycle and that entrapment. So, in the grand scheme of things, if not one soul will be lost, you don't really need, quote unquote, a middle person. It's more that you get the privilege of that catalyst, that guide, that window, that telephone that allows you to find your way.
That
Your
grace.
It's grace.
Yeah.
To me, a lot of people talk about grace as getting out of a parking ticket or not, you know, not having to have a surgery. But for me, grace is knowing my God essence by the grace, generosity, and mercy of God.
Right.
That's to me, if I'm walking through my life, no matter what happens to my body, if I have that, I've already won. And in many ways, it is a privilege for you to walk through a ridiculous life because you will never be deluded into thinking this is where you want to stake your claim and stick
Right.
around. You're never
No.
going to be convinced to hang out here excessive amounts of time. You're going to
Exactly.
look and go, okay, I'm not going to get any fulfillment in this pile of shit. So
Right.
I'm really going to have to go inside and know my God essence because otherwise I'm going to go nuts.
Right.
And so it pushes us, if we're smart, it pushes us deeper and deeper into the portable paradise, the kingdom of heaven, and into the outer kingdom of heaven and into the kingdom of God. And pretty soon you're walking through your crazies, but at the same time, you're also walking with the beloved in the heart of God.
Right.
And there's no separation there.
Right. I have such a big smile. I'm thanking you so much for these answers. And what spurred on the question is I have an opportunity to start speaking and people who are beginning, you know, and I don't feel adequate at all talking about the traveler or the preceptor or even Jesus.
You're
So,
never, I mean, the adequacy for me is never found in the body or the ego. But if you're just doing God's work and being of service,
yeah,
the adequacy comes from God itself.
okay,
Your own individual worthiness is irrelevant
right,
because your worthiness or unworthiness at the level it can be judged or assessed is the level of karma and has everything to do with what your karma is in this life and your curriculum. And you may have a very unworthy looking karma, and that's fine by the standards of your mind or by the standards of your ego. For me, it's not about the worthiness, it's about my willingness to be a commutator of God's divine energy into this planet, my willingness to be used at every level, layer, and access of this beingness, and to live in full surrender to that action.
Okay.
And then the question of like, who am I to talk about this? I mean, Christ, I've been talking to these groups on these calls since 2021, something like that. And my goodness, if I stop and think, am I worthy to say what I'm saying? I just speak from my experience, and
Right.
I just keep the loving flowing in my consciousness, and I just surrender to what's present here. And I don't really know how all of it works, but I know that it works at the level of my willingness to serve.
Right. Okay. And that is my intention. And just going back for a minute and I'm done for the karma, all this karma, did I create it in this lifetime or this is
No,
from the past? This past.
no, no, you're eating a lot. See, if you look at your life, I bet you would struggle to find a good source of a lot of what you've gone through in this lifetime,
Right.
because the vast majority of what we experience, so it's actually a blessing if we experience what's called like what JR calls instant karma. That means you created it in this lifetime and you clean it up in this lifetime.
Right.
To me, that's actually really nice because then it's done.
Yeah.
The vast majority of your destiny karmas or your pralapta karmas or whatever you want to call it actually come from actions you took in multiple previous lifetimes.
Okay.
And when you work with the mystical traveler, you're often going to have to walk through several different lifetimes at the same time, because if you're getting off in this lifetime, there may be a few key things that need to be piled up all together for you to complete to do that. Because the mystical traveler doesn't make your karma go away. In my experience, it's not
Yeah.
about making it, it's about fulfilling it through grace and fulfilling it through an accelerated process in the sound current. So
Okay.
it's like when Jesus said, I didn't come here to break the law, I came here to fulfill it. It's fulfilled through learning grace, and it's fulfilled through an acceleration field. You're actually, when you do spiritual exercises, you're actually burning certain karmas at an accelerated rate. That can be one of the things that happens in spiritual exercises. And when you have crazy dreams, that is, again, you burning certain karmas at an accelerated rate that you don't have to do in the physical.
Okay.
But it's not to say that the karmas, quote, go away, because we're not in the business. My experience of soul transcendence and the movement of spiritual inner awareness is we're not in the business of trying to break reality for our preferences. We're actually in the business of cooperating with this level while getting off,
Right.
going to the soul realm.
The cooperation. Okay. Jeffrey, thank you so much. This helps so much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. God bless you. Thank you.
God bless you, honey. Bye bye.
Okay. Can you raise your hand if I have not shared with you before, or you're new? New to MSIA, okay, one of the two. I'm going to favor that one just because, and thank you everybody else for your patience. I just want to hit the new folks first. Hi, Olivia.
Hello, thank you for being here and creating this platform. Listening to the video just before about the karma and feeling clear, that was very helpful to me. And I have a question about my daughter. I've had a very, very complicated relationship with my daughter. And I'm just wondering, is it karmic, or is there something that I still need to do to
Well, you just said the same thing twice. See, karma means action. So karma means action, meaning if you're talking about things you need to do, you're talking about karma. I think that we romanticize Eastern terminology a lot. Oh no, I lost you. I don't know where you went. Can you raise your hand one more time?
I'm here. I just want to get.
Thank you. Yeah,
This
let me pin you and just You're self-conscious about your dog, huh?
Yeah, I want to stop her.
Wow, that's an adorable little pooch. Okay. Karma just means action. And actually in the context of Eastern teaching, it means both the origination and completion of action. So what you're doing is completing karma with your daughter. And when that's complete, you'll know because often A, the circumstance will shift, or B, your relation, how you relate to the circumstance will dramatically shift. Meaning she might be doing the same argument with you, but you just kind of find it cute and go, oh, okay. This is our normal argument, right? Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna say this and then you say that, right? Okay, got it. You see, so you can be free of karma through a couple ways. One is you walk through it and then it just naturally completes and you surrender to it, right? Another way is to attempt to break patterns or cycles that occur in the world because karmas are usually effectuated at our habit level, which is our subconscious level that affects the way that we perceive through pattern recognition and bias. And it affects the way in which we repetitively engage in relationships and physical actions and habit patterns in the body. So another way to break a karma is to actually bring awareness to what is unaware. So you bring awareness to which can be a very tall order for karmas. It can be very, very hard to do because karma by its very nature is spelled Stupid and is very, very like subconscious, unconscious activity. So that's another way to do it. The other way to do it is to sometimes karmas are there to teach you a specific lesson. Now, people will think I mean lesson as intellect. I don't. Lesson often means an evolutionary or transformational process of how you understand something. So people will often relate to karma and say, what is this trying to tell me? So that's a mental question. And that might be the way to clear it if it's a mental karma. But learning a lesson is more in the context of like the way Jesus said, repent and sin no more. Now, sin just means missing the mark. It doesn't mean like violating the moral code of 613 mitzvot or whatever. So, but you can also get clear of it by recognizing and learning and shifting your relationship and your perception of the karma and understanding what's really going on. Not understanding intellectually, but really getting it in your heart. Like, oh, that's what this is really about. I see the loving, I see the perfection. That's what this really is. Which brings me to the changing your relationship to the karma, meaning you're not reacting to it anymore. Now, I knew somebody who hated their job and kept booking sessions with me so that we could clear that person out of their job. Okay? It didn't work. And my advice was, I would suggest that you get to a point where you don't care if you're in that job the rest of your life and you just totally let it go. The person reached out to me and eventually they got it and they went, it's so weird. The day that I went, if this is what my life is and I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life, thy will be done, Lord. I'm good with it. And at that exact moment, he got an interview, got a new job, pretty much that week. So sometimes when you let go and you recognize and you see the truth, it's like the truth will set you free. That's another way to get free of a karma. The last way to get free of a karma, now again, I'm just to tell you, karma will be served. It's just a question of how we serve it. Do we serve it through learning? Do we serve it through like sacrifice or clearing? Do we serve it through service? But it tends to need to be served. Now, the last way is karma requires both a subject and an object. You are a subject, you, the personality who's engaging with the karma in time and space, not the self, not the soul that I was just talking about when I was reading the Bhagavad Gita. So I'm talking about the lowercase s self that engages, that's the subject. And the object is what you're experiencing and how you're engaging with the karma. So it's like, could be your daughter, could be the relationship with your daughter. there is a way in which we, through self uppercase S awareness or soul awareness, or moving into the sound current of God, or like God essence awareness, we get to a place where we no longer really identify as the self that happens to be engaged in the karma, the lowercase s. We are no longer identifying or attached to the subject that is engaged with the object, and therefore the karma can play itself out, but we do not have to be affected by it. That's another way to complete and clear the karma. So, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm giving you a lot to work with, but you'll be further ahead with all of it if you recognize that all relationships are inside of you. You have never had a relationship with your daughter that was not simply you relating to a part of you that is reflected in your daughter. So anything you're upset with your daughter, you're working inside of you. That's what we're really talking about. We take very circumspect ways of getting back to the source of the problem, which is problems are created by your ego and your mind inside of you in relation to your karma with yourself. And when you stop projecting that out and relating to your daughter as the source of whatever you're dealing with, and start recognizing that you're working your curriculum, your karma, your process, then that's when the fun starts. That's when the fun really begins. That's when you can start working the process inside of you. And your daughter doesn't have to be physically there to do that, by the way. You can just sit down with your daughter inside of you and start seeing the loving pouring on her and working all of that. And you're like, is this just my karma? Absolutely, it's just your karma. But that's what you're here to do. Karma is not a bad word. It's actually how the world works. It is the description of the world working. Karma means action. It's not negative. It's not positive. It's not right or wrong. It's just action. And when you start to realize the whole point is participating in that action with minimal attachment and maximum devotion to God, then you walk through it free and it just becomes very entertaining.
I love this. Thank you so much. I get it with my daughter. Does it work the same with a karmic? Like I was in a car accident and I was cleared of all fault, but now there's a lawsuit now. So someone is trying to make it my fault. And
You
now
are trying, yeah. You are trying to make it your fault, and you are suing yourself. I know, you're shocked. No, but
how
to
do
work
I,
it, but
I
if you
don't,
work it that way inside of you, look, the physical karma is what it is. If you need to complete physically by going to court and doing that whole thing, please understand. No, no, no. Please understand it has to be, karma has to be served. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm just saying you're going to make yourself crazy if you think you can control the physical world. But what you can do is work on your relationship to the physical world. What you can do is go inside and get to a place where you unconditionally love what you're going through in your life. That is possible. And it starts with upset. It starts with honesty. I mean, God, I have stuff that comes up. I'm not claiming to be a saint or walking through this free. I'm not. In fact, I get upset about stuff a lot. But it's not about whether I get upset about stuff. It's about shifting my default. My default is actually that relationship to reality that is loving, that is seen through the eyes of loving in acceptance, in cooperation, in understanding, and enthusiasm, and empathy. And all of that's coming through. Now, so I get upset and then I go back inside. I immediately go back inside and work the process. So I would work the process to the point where you are in detachment in relation to whether the lawsuit works or not. Because the mind and your basic self, your body's going to go, they're trying to take my money and put me out on the street, and how am I going to feed myself? And it's going to ruin my reputation. It's like all that stuff comes up, of course. But See, you got to be opportunistic. How were you going to find that stuff to clear and heal inside of you if this didn't happen? So you go, thank you, Lord, for this lawsuit. I didn't know that I was bound up and trapped in here, and now I get even more free. And by the time, because if you get to the point where a lawsuit doesn't ring your bell that much, and you kind of go, yeah, I get it. I'm good. God's got this. You'll be a master walking on this planet. And maybe you're being given this opportunity because you're ready to be a master walking on this planet.
Mm. Wow. Thank you. Oh my gosh. So it's a question of as soon as the fear comes in, just go back to clear.
Yeah, no, so it's not that. It's the fear comes in, and then you roll up your sleeves and go, oh, I've got fear karma. Nice. And then you dig in and figure out what's the fear? Where did it come from? How do I clear it? How do I let it go? Is it from a past life? You sit with the fear. You start to give it a voice. You start to work with it. You start to love on it. You see the light pouring into it. You invite in Jesus Christ, you invite in whoever your teacher is, you invite whatever that, you know what I mean? Like you bring that in and start working and healing that fear. The problem with how we relate to the mind is that we react quicker. We assign ourselves a role that isn't accurate before we actually see the truth. And I see myself doing this. It's like somebody comes in to a meeting with me and says something offensive or says something whatever. I think my role is to be right or that I'm supposed to be valuable or that I'm supposed to do something. When all I was really in that meeting to do was to love that person. And the only purpose of me being there was loving. And then it may be that they just needed to help, they needed help clearing, so they put out the negativity and to help them process it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
it's flipping the script. You go into the doctor. Don't assume that you're there to be healed by the doctor. You're always there to be healed by God. But don't assume that you're not there to help the doctor heal. Why would anyone go into a healing profession if they didn't themselves need healing? And the best healers in the world are always working on their own healing. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've gone to some amazing practitioners and they're all hypersensitive and work in their process all the time. So the fear comes in. Don't assume the fear is there to torture you and the fear is there to tell you how screwed you are. Assume the fear is there for healing because you are uniquely qualified and empowered to do that.
Mm.
That you are the one that this fear has been searching for through the desert for eons, begging to find resolution and absolution, and you are the one who can do that. If you have that mentality with your thoughts, you will stop creating negatively in your mind, and you will start creating a safe and loving place in your consciousness that you have never experienced probably since you were a little baby in your mother's arms. You will have that in your consciousness because you will give that to your consciousness.
So it literally is all good. Everything.
We say, out of God comes all things. God loves all of its creations. Not one soul will be lost. God is good, and good is God. When we say good, what do we really mean? We mean God. That which is good is of God. Out of goodness comes all things. Therefore, all things must be goodness. You can't make something out of nothing, right? Goodness gave birth to goodness. We just don't like it that way. The world is perfect. We just don't like it that way. And God bless the part of us that doesn't like us that way. That just means we have more to learn and more to grow and more to heal. And that, my friends, is the point. That's why we're here. We're not here to never have an argument. We're here to get the maximum value from our argument. Or, well, we're here to heal and complete our argument karma. We're here to complete and go home. To realize that we belong in the soul realm and to figure out how to get there.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
God bless you. Has anybody else not shared before or new? I don't know if I recognize Lisa. Is there a way for you to tell me if you've shared before? Maybe.
Hi. Hello, Jeffrey.
Have you
I've
shared
never,
before?
no, I
Okay.
haven't. This is actually my first time joining
Okay,
you.
today's your lucky day. Go for it.
Today's my lucky day. Yes, this has been extremely powerful. So for me, I'm, I feel very much that I'm on this journey of returning to my heart and my truth. And there's a lot of unsettled parts of my life. There are some really magnificent parts, and then there are some parts that are really, really challenging. And after hearing you say, I feel that you know I just came out of a marriage with a tremendous amount of debt, and I realized that part of my um, karma is facing this, and where does it come from, and how to stay centered and connected to God while walking through this, because sometimes it feels really, really scary. And so this whole concept of completely surrendering, and in some ways I feel as though this is to be of service, to be an example of being able to stay connected to God while walking through this. Yet sometimes I do go to that place of, really, God? Really? Because there's been a lot of things. I mean, we all have, as you were talking about, we all have lots of life experiences that can feel really uncomfortable. And why do I have to go through this? Um, so, and so anyways, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. And so really connecting to, being able to connect to God, walking through all of this and believing and having that faith.
Yeah, I think there's a level beyond that that I like even more.
Okay.
A lot of the metaphors we use, we don't realize how they program us or position us in a certain way. I think for me, it's more powerful to recognize that this is God having an experience. That it's actually it's not that I have to find my loving again. It's that I am loving and I have to find my way out of confusion about that. We often position a kind of a journey where we have to find something that we're not.
Right.
instead of like we say this is God having a human experience, well, you could say this is God having a dead experience. And
Mm.
how does spirit feel when spirit believes that debt is powerful or debt has a determining factor in life? And how does spirit feel when it allows itself to just be and observe that?
Mm.
It's I think it's important that we use the tools and the metaphors that work for us at any given point. But I think that, and this is maybe just for you because maybe other people need a different metaphor, but there's something subtle underpinning what you shared energetically that feels like not a belief or almost an assumption that you're not already who you're searching for.
That's interesting.
And I think it's walking through life sourcing from who you truly are, not walking through life as the lower self keeping its eyes on the Lord. It's like it's more about a communion or a marriage of selves.
Mm.
It's more about an alignment and an attunement to a level that is already present in you as you.
Right.
And it's pulling the attention inward and upward.
That's really beautiful.
And so because what will often happen is the situation will come up and you'll say, how can I find the loving in this situation? But it would be more accurate to say, how can I find that I am loving having this situation?
Mm.
And and when I say having this situation, it's you are an infinite consciousness with a simulated finite experience, and you have the privilege of stewardship, stewarding the karma that you're walking through, that your body is walking through. You get to usher it into completion. I had this whole game I was playing with student debt, for example, from law
Mm.
school. It's a lot. I mean, law school is expensive.
Yeah.
And I had this whole game of playing income-based repayment and finding ways to not pay it off, hoping that it would be forgiven someday, just so I wouldn't have to pay it. And what ended up happening, I woke up one morning and realized I was actually limiting my own abundance and I was limiting God because God is infinite supply, God is infinite abundance. And I realized I was doing that by telling myself a story of how I need to game the system so that I don't have to pay this ridiculous law school debt because I never got a good job after law school and they ripped me off and they're not even a good school anyway. And the whole thing, but it actually was more freeing to say, no, I'm going to pay this off. In fact, there is so much wealth and abundance in this world. There's so much giving that God is just cascading into my life in so many ways that I can't even explain. I'm going to I'm going to experience so much abundance that paying this will feel like nothing this month.
Mm.
And I will be so overflowing that I will want to give even more to the people in my life and to the causes I believe in and to the church that I love. And I will have so much overflow that I will thank God for the privilege of paying off this debt.
I love that.
And when I did that, something just broke open in me. and I started seeing much more opportunity in the world. And I started seeing much more generosity in the world. And I actually freaked out about money less than I did when I was gaming the system.
Mm.
So I'm good with paying, like, so it's like I'm paying this, like, oh my God, that's a lot of money every month. And I'm like, it's not my money anyway, it's God's money. What do I need to worry about it? God is infinite supply of God. And this is just a spiritualized medium of exchange. I don't need to worry about it. I'm open to
Mm.
all of that flow. But again, it's all about our willingness to reference from an infinite consciousness rather than reference from a finite consciousness that is seeking an infinite consciousness. You see?
Yes, this makes a lot of
If
sense.
instead you say, no, this one that is me is infinite, and I'm having a finite experience, and I'm learning through that finite experience, so I might as well get the maximum value from this. How do I use this for my upliftment, growth, and learning? Because this experience is God's gift to me.
Mm.
It's like, this isn't a failed marriage. This is God's gift to me. This isn't debt. This is God's gift to me. This isn't, it's like, whatever the negative, you start to shift your relationship into a kind of gratitude. And the gratitude, it's not that God prefers people that are grateful and not spoiled. It's that spoiledness actually blocks the flow of unconditioned spiritual energy. Grace
Mm.
is unconditioned spiritual energy. And the way that we condition grace is by placing conditions upon how we think the world works. We condition our reality through our assumptions and our beliefs. So, in a very real sense, we create, promote, or allow our experience. And we do it through the things that we believe. And sometimes the things that we believe subconsciously, and sometimes the things that are just flowing into our subconscious from the karmic field. So the opportunity is we can start to repattern toward an openness and availability to the infiniteness that we are. And that infiniteness is the same as all of us. And we feel closer to people than we've ever felt before because we're all breathing from the same spiritual heart.
Mm.
And there's a oneness in that. And so the part of you that feels lonely or isolated or doesn't know how to relate to people, and especially as things start to activate in your spiritual inner awareness, you start to realize that there's so few people you can talk to about this crazy stuff that you're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
And that is maybe a reality. And that's why I'm just very grateful to have calls like this and organizations like the Movement of Spiritual Inner Awareness to have other, just an island of misfit toys and a mutual admiration society where we can all have our crazies and experience this together, loving each other through it. It's a privilege. It's a privilege to have each other.
Very true. Thank you.
Hope that was helpful.
It was very helpful. Thank you so much. What a gift.
Well, God bless you. Thanks for joining the call.
Thank you. It was such a blessing.
All right. Thank you. Well, all right. For the folks I didn't get to, thank you for your understanding and support. I wanted to get to new people just to share the love. So look forward to getting you on the next one. And thank you all for being here, for bringing your loving consciousness and your senses of humor and your beautiful, unique expressions of God. And thank you for the joy. And I'll wish you a beautiful rest of your weekend. So God bless you. I love you. Peace be still. And the blessings already are.